Hey, what's up, everyone? It is Brand Growth Live, where we take your questions and give answers to the top marketing and branding things that have been running around your head. What are your questions about branding and marketing? We answer those live with real people, with real entrepreneurs like you, uh, to help you move forward, to help you bring your business forward. I'm Brandon Birkmeyer. I guess I should introduce myself, AKA Brandon Brands. And I believe that building brands that matter is the only way for a business to thrive tomorrow. I hope you guys tune in each week, Wednesdays at 1 p. We're going to keep doing this. And if you want to be on the show, you can go to brandonbrands.com/live guest. Send me your 3 marketing questions and I'll bring you on the show and we'll talk about what you got going on. Great show for you today. We're going to be talking about basically how to choose your marketing channels. And if you're excited about that, we'll get going and bring our guest on. But first, let me cue the theme music.
Brandon Brands.
All right. So we'll see. I don't know if that's going to stay the theme music, but we'll see. I thought it was fun. But no, I'm excited to get this going, guys. I love talking to real people. I do this all the time behind the scenes, but putting it out there in front of you guys so you can get your questions answered is very exciting to me. So excited to bring on my first guest today and get this thing going. Let me bring up a little bit about them. As you guys, let me add this to the stream. There you go. So today's guest is Mary Nguyen. Mary is a friend of mine, someone I've known for a long time now, and has her own business and an events business. Basically, someone who works with other people to throw events. That could be a wedding, it could be a professional or corporate event, something like that. And she'll explain what she does for you. But she went ahead and submitted a few questions to me that's got her thinking like that might be helpful for her business. And I'm excited to bring her on today. And if you guys got questions just like that, send them through. Anytime you got questions like that, send them through. But before we bring her on, if you guys are watching live for the first time, go ahead and type in, I want you guys interacting in the comments. Go and type in #live so that I know you're watching, so that I know you're participating, and we'll interact. And if you have questions for Mary or questions for me that come up during the show, pop them into the comments. We might get to them today, we might get to them next week, but let's get this thing moving and be interactive. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on Mary Nguyen, and appreciate having you on the show, Mary. Thanks for coming on, everyone. This is Mary. Mary, why don't you tell everyone a little bit? First off, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show and sharing your story with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So
go ahead.
Tell me about what you're doing out there. Like, tell us a little bit more about your business and how things are going.
Yeah, well, I'll just dive in. So I am event producer, owner of IM Eventz. It is event planning business, specializing in weddings, social events, corporate events. I've done them all, from small scale to big scale, small budget to big budgets. So it's something I definitely enjoy doing, just because every project's different, every event's different, and it keeps me kind of going compared to what I've done before, where it's just sort of routine, the same thing every day. So I like the fire drills, I like the chaos of this, and that's why I enjoy doing it.
Right. Well, and I imagine like a lot of businesses like that, where you are, it's a small amount of clients that you serve in a given year, trying to make sure you're building relationships and establishing a client base that you can continue to grow is always a lot of work. I've been there. I have to do the same thing. And the question that Mary threw to us today is the first one. We'll see if we can get to all 3 of them. But the first one was, which marketing platforms work best, which is something I hear a lot. It's the kind of question that there's so many choices out there. Like, how do you choose which ones work best? So Mary, why don't you give us a little context for why that's the question that you asked? Like, where does that come from? Why is that something that you want to know for your business?
Yeah, so I sort of kind of put my business on hold. I went to go work for an agency and learned so much. And as I'm trying to transition back into my business and kind of get that up and running, marketing's changed over the years. And so now you have social media, and every form of marketing you can see, not just on billboards, TVs, calls, cold calls, but you see a lot of it on social media. And with that said, IM Eventz, we have a handle on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on what is that, Tumblr, but Tumblr is just something we don't really use. And so I think it's just trying to pinpoint and figure out, like, of those different platforms, like, what is the best platform specifically for my business. But I'm sure there's many business owners out there, entrepreneurs out there, are probably asking the same questions in terms of what platform makes most business sense for my company.
Yeah, it's a question I get all the time. I love that you asked it, because it's kind of a deep question that, like, I could talk for hours about, but I'm going to try to keep it to like a bite-sized bit today. And then as that inspires more questions, for anyone else out there, we could always go a little bit deeper. But today I want to start with that. And Mary, thanks for asking the question. So first, let's dive into it a little bit. So choosing a marketing platform, right? This is, there's, like you said, there's a lot of choices. There's the Facebooks and all the digital websites and social medias of the world. There's physical things you could be doing out in the marketplace, like TV, radio, billboard. I mean, there's a lot of choices, right? And one of the first things that I like to tell people is, you have to think about your strategy first and figure out what do you want to do? How does this help your business? What's the goal for the business, right? So when you think strategy first instead of marketing platform first, you actually have to get a little bit behind the weeds on what am I trying to accomplish. And when you start to think about what do I try to accomplish, who are my customers and what are they doing, and how do I reach them and how do I speak to them, you can start to build that strategy first, that approach that's going to say, okay, when I know what objective I'm trying to reach and I know what plan I have to put that in place, then you have the right criteria to help you select the platforms. And I think a lot of people do go into it. I'm not saying you do this, Mary, but a lot of people do go into it and start to say, well, Instagram's popular, maybe I should be on Instagram. Or Facebook is, I hear that it's been around forever, and maybe I should be using that, but I feel like I don't use it as much, and maybe I shouldn't. They start thinking about the platform first instead of the strategy first. So the first thing I like to say is, let's dig into what your goals are and what you're trying to accomplish. Now, with a wedding business like yours, obviously it's a people-driven business. The clients you meet are going to be people that are usually in your network, and you can advertise and find people that are outside of your network, but it's going to be hard to want to trust someone to plan your whole event just based on seeing an ad, for example, on Facebook, or a pretty post on Instagram. So for me, this is a relationship driven business, right? So the strategy behind a relationship driven business is, how do you increase your networking? How do you get out there more to live events? How do you shake more hands? And then the marketing side of it is, how do you build a better reputation around your business and around you, so that when people meet you and they look you up, they start to find more about your business that speaks to them and moves them towards being excited towards working with you versus maybe someone else that they know. So I'm gonna bring Mary back on here real quick. And Mary, this is something we've talked before in the past a little bit about your business. I mean, how much of your business are people that know you already?
A lot, actually. I mean, there was a good chunk of my time in, before I started working for this agency, was networking, and so I know a good amount of people. It's just getting back into that scene again. And so I think you brought up very good, valid points in terms of just thinking about the strategy first and not so much the platform. And I think that's what I've done, and many other business owners have done, is okay, there's so many social media platforms out there, which one do I start with first? When the first question is really, what is our strategy?
Yeah, and obviously there are platforms that are going to help you. It's like, for weddings, like Instagram is very visual, and that's a place where you want to be and have a presence. But you think of them as like resumes or brochures for your business. You do want to start building presence out in those places, but not to
Mhm.
generate discovery, but more so that when people already discover you, they have a place to go that tells your story, that says what you do and why you do it, and gives them a little bit of a glimpse of that. And that brings me to my second tip on this topic, which I can see if I can get it going, which is, I threw puppy dogs up there, but it's follow attention, right? And dogs are always great attention drivers, but it's basically, you have to be where your customers are. So when I say things like Instagram is interesting, but also Pinterest, right? Think about how much research goes into a wedding. And I know you think about this all the time, Mary, right?
Mhm.
So often when you like the wedding planning process is, what is it, a year at least? Maybe, unless you're like doing it quicker. I think I did it in 9 months, or, I say my wife did it in 9 months, or we did it together. But there's a lot of research that goes into it, which is why it's such a hot market for all the businesses out there. You are doing everything from looking at your venues to your DJs to your all the stuff that you have to buy for the decorations and the flowers. It's a lot of research. So what I think is, where does that attention go when people are starting that process, when they're starting to think about, putting those boards together, those dream boards of what this is going to look like? How do you start to go where they are? And I think what's interesting about that is then you'll start to realize, oh yeah, well, they are going to be on Instagram, they are going to be on Pinterest, maybe not thinking about weddings when they're on LinkedIn or whatever it is. So you do have to start to figure out a way to be where they are. But again, it's going to be a follow-up. It's going to be a place that happens after they've already discovered you. You then have to start to show up where they're looking for things. Uh, so I think those are naturally the places. I mean, when you talk to people that are planning their weddings, where do you see a lot of activity in terms of their attention for wedding planning?
It is Pinterest, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that was such a valid, good point as well too. Because as I'm diving back into trying to get my, event planning business back up and running, I'm starting to use Pinterest a lot more. And so, but it's also to one of those platforms where, I also put it on the back burner with my company and didn't really use it for a long time. But then now diving right back into it and learning another platform that I know is probably the number one, if not Instagram or close to it, social media platform that people do use as it relates to weddings.
Right. Well, and to that point, here's what I think is funny, right? So we'll be like, okay, Pinterest is the thing. So I'm going to start building a bunch of pins. But at the end of the day, you still might have anyone finding it, right? Which brings me to
Right.
my last point, right? Which is create discovery. And this, I think, is so important. So you can build the pins. I think it's super important to be like, okay, what are the questions that my customer is asking a lot? What are the first things that they are finding that they tend to look for? Is it the dress? Maybe is usually the first thing, or it's the venue because you have to book it 9 months out. What are some of those first things that you can tap into that early attention on and create discovery around? So build out like your top 10 pins of ways to find dresses or whatever the thing is. And why you might need a coach to help you find that or whatever the thing is, but you start building those things, not so that they can be discovered naturally by organic search, which maybe you'll get a few of those, but
Mm-hmm.
so that when you are talking to people and when you are posting on your own Facebook feed, the places where you're going to have more of your normal natural friends,
Mm-hmm.
posting their kids' pictures or whatever, every now and then you can pop a post into those places saying, hey, by the way, if you've got a wedding going on, and I just built these 10 pins on how to choose a wedding dress, or I built these 10 pins on how to choose a venue or whatever it is. And then here's the fun part, right? Your business, and this gets back to strategy, your business is local. Your business is very local to where you are. So
Mm-hmm.
you have the advantage of building content around things that are local. You could say, wedding dresses in places to shop in Los Angeles, or the top 10 venues in Los Angeles based on like ease of use, or, easy to work with, or the most beautiful venues. You could do 10 different kind of pins based on, is it based on the price? Is it based on how it looks? Is it based on how easy they are to work with? Is it based on they have everything versus nothing? Like there's a million ideas once you get specific. And I think people think content is hard because it's so vague. But when you actually get real specific about, well, in LA or in this city that I live in within LA, what are the things, who are the vendors I work with, and what are the questions I get asked? And you start answering those questions. Well, then when you start documenting them and writing them out in terms of a pin board or an Instagram feed or even a downloadable PDF or a video, you can then you keep those where they are, you make them live where they are, but then you feed them out to people as you're posting on social media organically, or you're talking to people as you're networking, and you say, hey, you know what, I know you're getting married, I'd just love, you're probably looking for wedding dresses, or I know the biggest question is always venue, or have you picked a venue yet? I've got this great list I'd love to share with you. And guess what, when they go and they download it, suddenly you got their email, and you've already built a relationship based on helping them. So great discovery. Is any of this generating kind of, I think, useful, helpful ideas for you, Mary? Is this things you've thought
Yes.
of before?
No, actually, no. And so I'm glad we're doing this because right now in my head, what I have stuck in there is strategy and specifics. And so it's going to say work hand in hand, side by side together.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that you can come up with a million ideas, but maybe you build one thing first, right? Like, what's the question you get asked the most, kind of towards the beginning, uh, that you would say as you meet someone that's getting married, something you want to send them just to be helpful,
Yep.
that would be like the most help. And if it's maybe even after that, maybe you pick a first or a second. Like, if it's not venues, then what's like that next thing, which is like, how do you've picked a venue already? Now what? Like, what are like the next 10 details that you've got to figure out first, and delegate to your husband, or your girlfriend, or your mom, or like, you can make it fun, but you can be like, oh my god, like, so happy for you, cool, did you pick a venue yet? Oh no, okay. Or you did, cool. You know what, the main question I get asked after people pick venues is this, let me send you that, it's super helpful, da, 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 da.
Yep.
And then you start to get the ball moving. You don't have to ask the question of, have you already hired a wedding planner?
Mhm.
Or even for corporate events, I think you got to, I'm talking in weddings because that's what the
Yeah.
picture is,
Yep.
but you can apply this to anything pretty much, starting to build content around the things that people start to ask first, like, how do I pick a venue, or how do I line up speakers, or whatever the thing is, uh, starts to be helpful. And then one more hack for you guys is writing a little bit of content about how to hire you. So like, and then leads them to you. So it's like, for me, how do you hire a marketing coach, is a post, or
Hmm.
10 things to look for in a marketing coach,
Hmm.
or 15 things to look for in a wedding planner, or in an event planner, or things that'll lead them to you. And they're like, how do I hire someone? And you're like, you're giving them all the things to check. And by the way, if you're looking for someone in this area, that's me. you know so that's another hack, is hopefully if they're looking for someone for you and that content is yours,
Yeah.
and you've built it for them, that helps.
Awesome.
So let's jump at, you had a couple more questions here, and we'll kind of shoot through these quickly. But before that, let me do a quick little check here. Uh, all right, we have, as people tune in, if you guys are watching this on replay, just go ahead and type in hashtag replay. We'll get a lot of those at first as this show is getting ground. And I want to make sure that I know that you guys are watching, know that you guys are listening. So go ahead and give me a hashtag replay when you guys catch this at a later time. And don't forget to tune in Wednesdays at 1 p.m. to Brandon Brands Live to check the show out each week. And if you want to be a guest, I'm here for you guys. BrandonBrands.com/live guest. You can be like Mary here. Ask me your top 3 questions, get them answered live. And then if you want time with me after, we can always go through it a little bit deeper. But I'll bring you on the show. And if you don't even want to be on the show, you just want your questions answered, shoot them to me anyway at the same link. And I'll respond to you directly with some of the answers, and maybe shoot you a video that answers those questions for you. So appreciate that, you guys. And if you're liking any of this along the way, whether you're watching live or on replay, make sure to drop a thumbs up or a heart emoji. Let me know that something's happening out there that you're resonating with. Hopefully this is something that's helpful for you guys today. So that's my little bit of promo for you. Just got to do the housekeeping here. So Mary, your second question that came through was, how do I know which marketing webinars are worth the time and money? Where did that question come from? Why is that something you're curious about?
Again, I mean, I have a degree in business, and I am an expert in events and project management. And so give me an event to do, and I will hands down do the best job ever. But marketing is not something that I am an expert in, and it's something that I go to you for when I have questions. But one of the things that I have been noticing as I'm trying to get myself a little more involved in marketing and learning marketing is coming across a lot of these just like webinars that just kind of pop up on Instagram, Facebook, and kind of reading through them and seeing, they're, free for an hour, and then you join for such and such dollar amount, and it's like a 3-day thing or a week thing, or even just like an hour thing, or like a 6-week month program type of thing. And I signed up for quite a few and got to sit through and listen to a lot of them, and learn the different techniques and information that a lot of these webinars are providing. But it also too, the question is like, how do I know which one is good for me, and how do I know to this is the one that I want to move forward and invest my money, and what am I going to gain out of this?
God, I'll tell you, man, I'm so happy you asked that question. I take webinars myself, and it's kind of a formula, right? It's like the same things you see over and over. You'll see the ad first, and it'd be like, "Learn my big secrets on how to go from broke to not broke," and and for marketing, it'll be the same thing. How to
Mhm.
generate 1 million leads in 1.5 days. Like
Yep.
whatever it is. But maybe they're written nicely, and you actually are like, oh, that seems like I actually believe what they're saying, and you click on it, and it's like register to show up live to this thing, and they talk live for an hour. Uh, and instead of giving you content that it actually solves your problem, they usually are giving you the why you need to solve that problem, and that's just how webinars are built. It's not like a negative on those people.
Mhm.
Everyone does it, but it's like if I answer your question, hey Mary, you want to learn why like writing a marketing plan is so important for your business? Show up to my webinar, and then on the webinar, I'm like, here's why. Because without a marketing plan, you don't have a plan. You have to have a plan to have a plan. And then at the end of it, it's like, and if you want a plan, sign up for my $10,000 course, right?
Exactly.
So it's a free pitch basically, with maybe a little bit of a win. Like they sometimes will give you a little bit of a nugget of information that you're like, oh, that was useful. But that's kind of my issue with webinars a little bit, but there are some good ones out there. In terms of the thing you pay for is what you get. The courses you sign up for are the things that you think are useful. But here's my approach to it, right? I look for two things when I'm signing up for something, even for educating myself. The first thing I look for is either to look at who I think is a real expert in that topic, and that I might be able to learn a lot about that topic from. So, for example, if I want to learn about email marketing, Amy Porterfield's my girl, right? Like she's out there cranking out content every day. She has this huge community of people. She's been doing webinars forever, and if you want to know how to grow your list and do lead magnets, and you want to spend the money and your whole business is based on that, that's the person I would learn from, right? But it's a high ticket. So you got to figure out like how much do you want to do for yourself versus how much do you want to pay for. And that's the first question that even they'll ask you is you have a few choices. You can do nothing and try to figure it out yourself. You can, or you can do some. Option two is to try to figure it out yourself, right? Or option three is to hire someone, and that's going to cost you money. So it's like, what do you have, time or money, right? Do you want to learn it yourself, or do you want to pay the money?
Mhm.
Uh, so I do think there are leaders in the space that you can tell like have something to give. But here's my other side, my number two thing to look for is figuring out how you like to learn. Some of that stuff is helpful, but I actually prefer to learn face to face with someone, A, that I respect, but B, that has the time to put into me and do it with me and hold me accountable and coach me directly. Uh, and so I might take someone who's a step behind in Amy Porterfield, but like maybe they learned from them and they're one of her top students. And they now have something that looks like a respectable business around that, and they are now coaching. I'd like to be next to learning from them because I get the one-on-one attention, and that's how I learn best. So a good example is for podcasting, like John Lee Dumas has this amazing podcasting school. He's like number one in the game for that, but the personal attention probably isn't there anymore because he's so busy that like it's going to be all automated, right? And
Mhm.
so maybe a live call with like 100 people or whatever it is. I don't know for sure what his program's like, but that's what I imagine when you get that busy is what happens, right? But someone who learned from him is someone that I actually got coached on for podcasting. It was someone who learned from John. It has a relationship with him. And now I got to spend 6 weeks one-on-one attention calls like this. And he's like getting into my business, into the weeds, into my content, figuring out my problems with me directly. That's super helpful for me while I'm learning. And they have skin in the game because they are only going to be able to do it for so long one-on-one until they get so busy that they can't do it like that anymore either. So I look for a little bit for that one-on-one attention because that's how I learn the best. So that's my best tip for you on that, Mary. I hope that helps. And then I'll go quickly through the last one because I know I want to keep this to a certain amount of time today. Our third question, and call this a quick hitter question for the end of the day is a degree in marketing necessary if you want to learn more and apply it to your business? And is this something that you're thinking about? It's like you want to be doing more marketing, and you're like, how do I learn it myself? Which kind of
Yeah, there was actually a point in my life where I actually thought about going back and getting my master's, and I didn't want to get my master's in business because I figured, I have that, I know that, but I did think about going and getting into marketing because that was the other thing next to events that interests me a lot. But again, going kind of just taking it back to the first two questions is, which platform, because there's so many, to these webinars that you have access to, and at the end of all that, like, is a marketing degree really necessary to run your business, or is that one of those things you just got to have to hire somebody in marketing to run and do for you?
Yeah. I think the answer is probably a big fat hell no. You don't need a marketing degree to do marketing. But here's what I'll say. Like, uh, I think college in general, you learn, some fundamentals of how to learn and whatever. But everything I learned about marketing, I basically learned on the job. So for me, it's like if you as a business owner want to learn marketing, there's plenty of content out there where you can get the foundations. What I like to tell people is figure like if you're getting started and you have a business, you're ready for marketing. uh I like the idea of starting to learn a little bit and kind of read and understand the language of it, but then to immediately jump in and figure out if you can find a coach that'll work with you short term, that'll talk to you 1 2 3 weeks or whatever, like okay, I want maybe email like Amy Porterfield or whatever, like I said,
Mhm.
someone that'll work with you to kind of get you educated and teach you how to apply something into your business, whatever that first project is. But I also like someone like me. What I do is I help people. I say, what you need to do first is this: work on your website, work on your email, whatever it is. Here's the fundamentals you need. Now go ahead and do it. Hire a freelancer to build your website, hire a freelancer to run Facebook ads after you've built a strategy with someone, because you can't afford to hire me on a as an employee, and you can't afford to pay me a retainer every week or month. What you can do is afford to pay me hourly for a few hours of my more, if cost effectively, pay for someone else to uh, handle on a project by project basis your marketing. So I hope that helps.
That makes complete sense. And so I know it's something that we've been talking about, you and I connecting. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, when things start to settle down between my condo renovation and the office move, then we can schedule some one-on-one time to sit down and really just like talk this through and get this all figured out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always there for you, and for the rest of you out there, same thing. Mary, I appreciate you coming on today. I'm going to let you go here, and then I'll wrap up the show for the rest of the viewers. But thank you so much. I've appreciated our time today. You're the best.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Bye.
See ya. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that's something that was valuable to you. The the best thing I could say is if you have 3 marketing questions, I'm here to answer them for you. I want to spend time with you. I want you to be just like Mary. I would like to spend time, answer your questions live, get to know you, build a relationship, and offer value. So if you can go to brandonbrands.com/live guest, you can apply to be on the show. If this isn't for you, if this just makes you uncomfortable, by the way, I also have a podcast called Brands on Brands on Brands. And that is there for you so that you can tune in every week. I put out 3 episodes a week. I interview marketing experts on Mondays. I give strategy talks one-on-one directly to my audience on Wednesdays. And I go freestyle on Fridays to do behind the scenes. So I'm here for you for free. I also have a community on Facebook. If you want to find that, it's brandonbrands.com/community, where you can interact with me. So I put out a lot of free stuff, but if you have direct questions that you need solved, this is the best place for you to do that. I hope you guys found value today. I'm loving the new format. I hope you guys are too. Leave your feedback, leave your comments. Let me know what you guys think. Catch you guys next time. Peace. Wait, whoa, there it goes. Peace out. Bye.